Hi, I'm Onika and I'm a level 1 chef.
I'm Gabrielle and I'm a level 2 chef.
I'm Frank. I'm an instructor at the Institute of Culinary Education and I've been a chef for 24 years.
So today I'm making a baked potato stuffed with a cheesy queso sauce, but I put turkey meat in it. It's a whole entree in one baked potato.
It's a meal.
It's not a side dish. This is the main chick of baked potatoes.
Today I'm actually going to be making a baked sweet potato. The toppings I'm preparing for it are Israeli inspired.
Today I am making a baked potato with all of the toppings that a croque monsieur usually has. A croque monsieur is a classic French sandwich with ham, Gruyere cheese, and a nice creamy bechamel that you put under the broiler and get everything nice and bubbly and delicious. So I figured I'd put that on a really delicious baked potato.
The first thing that I'm gonna do is prep my potato. For a baked potato, you must have a russet potato, okay?
Traditionally, we use an Idaho or russet potato. They're kind of nice and fluffy on the inside. They tend to be a little grainy for me, so I chose a German butterball. They have the best attributes of the russet and kind of a Yukon, where you have some of that dryness and that fluffiness and a little bit of waxiness. And I think that when you combine both of those, it makes a really nice baking potato.
I'm actually going to be making a baked sweet potato. I love the flavor of the sweetness because it's going to be paired with some really fun spices. Sweet potatoes and yams, they seem to be pretty synonymous here in the US. I'm going to wash my potatoes in some water. I use a sponge.
Just so I can get in there really good. You wanna really clean it because we're eating the skin.
I think that the skin is like a nice little nutritional boost, I guess.
So now our potatoes are clean. So we're gonna
dry these off a little bit.
What makes a really good baked potato is how you prepare the skin. So what I do with my potatoes, take the olive oil, make sure that you really get in there. Give it some real good loving. Hey boo, how you feeling? It's about to get hot for you. It's about to go down in your DM.
And then I'm gonna make a flavored salt. It's gonna give it a nice kind of salty crust and give us like a slight thyme flavor. I'm using kosher salt that has kind of a flakier grain. And I'm gonna use fresh thyme. Don't use dry thyme for this. Fresh thyme has more floral characteristics. It's got a better flavor and it's gonna kind of read better once we bake our potatoes. We want the salt to just get a little green and we want it to be fragrant. It smells amazing. A baked potato without salt isn't worth eating.
It's like French fries with no seasoning, come on.
Without salt, it's just a bland, wet spud. I'm just gonna take these potatoes, put them in my tray, and I'm just gonna rub them lightly with some of that extra virgin olive oil, just so that my salt sticks, and I'm gonna drop it in.
Look at that. It's like snowing on the potato.
Yes, it's a lot of salt, but first of all, we're just putting it on the outside. Second of all, when we cut these open, some of the salt's gonna fall off, and I'm totally comfortable with that. This is just to kind of start my flavor.
So some people poke holes in the potato.
I'm actually going to stab them with a fork, and this will help to basically let out any steam that's building up on the inside of the skin.
I don't think you need that. I think it makes it look a little ugly.
And if you're gonna put the potato in the oven dry without anything on it, not wrapped in foil, you should poke them. Because what happens is the skin gets really tight and the inside starts to expand and then they explode. For this potato, I have stuff on the outside. I have oil. It's gonna get crispy and not get too tight and not explode.
I'm just gonna go ahead and wrap each one in some foil. And I actually like to kind of keep it a little looser at the top so that it's easy access to my sweet potato to kind of go in and see if it's tender.
Now that my potatoes are prepped, I'm gonna put them in the oven at 425 for about 50 minutes.
We're gonna take these and put them in a high oven, about 400 degrees, and then we're gonna lower it down to 350. And the reason I put it in high and then go low is I wanna jumpstart the browning on the outside. I want the skin to get a little crispy.
Okay, so these are going to go into the oven at 400 degrees for about 40 to 50 minutes.
I'll be right back.
While my potatoes are baking, it's time to start working on my toppings. First, I'm gonna start with my pickled red onion.
Gonna start chopping. Remember to put your weight into it. You gotta show the food who's boss.
Just add this into my bowl. Sort of spread out some of the little petals. And if you work quickly, your eyes will water, which mine are starting to. I'll make it through. I'll be strong for my baked potato.
And then we're gonna put some shallots in. They're a really nice kind of oniony flavor with just a little hint of garlic. And we're gonna throw that right into the pan with our butter. I'm gonna hit this with a little salt right now, just to kind of get the shallots to start cooking. A little bit of pepper.
And now my red bell pepper. You don't really need a lot. This is all I'm gonna use.
I'm going to go ahead and zest my lemon. The zest is where the oil of the lemon is, so it's gonna be a lot more concentrated flavor of lemon. And then squeeze out all this juice. Now I'm gonna add my lemon juice to my red onion, and then this is going to end up being reserved for my yogurt later. I'm going to add in my salt and sumac. Sumac has sort of this really nice floral, woody, earthy flavor to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and let my onions pickle for about the same amount of time that my potatoes in the oven. So 40 to 50 minutes, and they'll be ready.
And while that's going, I'm gonna slice my speck. Now, if you've never had speck, it is a ham that is slightly smoky. It's absolutely delicious. So our shallots are cooking. I take the sprig of thyme. I'm gonna pull the stem out before we actually fill our potatoes. I'm gonna take our speck, and I'm just gonna warm it through. I'm not really going to cook the speck. I don't want it to be crispy. And this is gonna be the base for our filling.
Here's my turkey meat. Do you hear it? Go ahead, turkey meat.
Next, I'm gonna do my chickpeas. I do realize that baked potatoes are kind of synonymous with bacon and meat and everything else. Hey, I get it. It tastes good, but this is gonna make it feel good.
Meat isn't necessary in this baked potato. I just think it adds a lot of flavor. So in my baked potato, meat is necessary.
I'm going to first mince my garlic. Just 1 clove is fine. You don't need a lot. I love garlic. I'm a big garlic person. There is no vampire that is going to come near me, or any other human, I guess, for that matter. I'm looking for that nice, like, brown color. Now my oil is infused with garlic. So I like to go ahead and add in my chili flakes to let the chili also impart into the oil. So they're gonna be spicy.
This sauce, when you bite it, it kind of bites back. I'm gonna take a little bit of my red pepper flakes, a little bit of the black pepper.
I am going to add in my chickpeas. Perfect. In goes my smoked paprika, my cumin, and my turmeric.
So I'm gonna put my onions in here to top it off. I'm gonna just do a little Creole seasoning.
I think they're about done now because I'm noticing some of the crispiness. I'm just going to take my lovely garlic pieces, give them a little stir, and then these are done.
Yes, girl, look at that. So my meat is ready.
Potatoes out of the oven, and now I want to take the insides of these potatoes out. So what I want to do is make that slit right down the middle, and you can see how nice and yellow they are inside. Then I'm going to get my spoon, and I'm going to scoop out a nice big scoop of the flesh. So potatoes are emptied. We're going to add our ham mixture, and just kind of mash it a little. We're going to add some creme fraiche just to bind it together. Creme fraiche is just cream that is cultured, so it's kind of like a mix between cream and yogurt. So that's our filling. I'm gonna hit it with a lot of black pepper.
So now I'm gonna start on my cheese sauce.
Cheese is great on a baked potato, but I can't really eat cheese, unfortunately.
If you don't like dairy, you can't have it. I understand, but you gotta put something in there that gives the potato a little bit of moisture.
So my other topping is going to be my Greek yogurt. I'm gonna go ahead and add in my Greek yogurt with my little tiny rubber spatula. So tiny and cute. Some salt, my lemon zest, just a little bit of lemon juice. I would recommend putting this into the fridge for about a half hour just to let that zest kind of bleed out into the rest of the Greek yogurt.
I'm opening just a can of Rotel, which is diced tomatoes and green chilies. So we're just gonna let that simmer.
And now we're gonna make our topping for this, which is a bechamel sauce. Bechamel usually starts out with butter, but you can use pretty much any fat that you want. I'm just using some unsalted butter. While my butter melts, I'm gonna take this clove of garlic, and I'm not gonna chop it up, I'm just gonna whack it with my hand, because I'm gonna strain my bechamel. I'm gonna pop this in. I don't want it to brown, I just want a nice, subtle garlic flavor. Our butter's melted, our garlic's in there. I'm just gonna add a little all-purpose flour. Once you start to smell like baking bread, that's when you know it's ready to put in the milk. So my milk is room temperature or cold, and I'm just gonna whisk it until it starts to thicken. I'm gonna keep whisking until this comes up to like a very light simmer, and then I'm gonna lower it down and let it cook for about 10 minutes. Almost forgot. Let's season. Salt and black pepper. Season it well. The bechamel's been cooking for about 5 to 7 minutes. You can see that it got nice and thick. And now what we're gonna do is strain it. So when I push this through, I'm just trying to get out most of the lumps, and that's our bechamel sauce.
The last of my toppings for my baked sweet potato is toasted sesame seeds. So this is the color you're looking for. It's a little bit more golden. You can't believe the difference in flavor that toasting gives the sesame seed.
Are we ready to stuff? Okay, good. So open it up, stuff it in there, right? Because this is almost like a little individual meal at this point. Okay, this one's the broken one, but we're gonna make it look nice. As a chef, people think that we never make mistakes. And I thank the editors for that. But for the most part, we make mistakes. Things fall apart sometimes, and you just do the best you can with what you have. Now, I broke this potato, but after I serve it, you're never gonna know. Before I put everything on top of my potatoes, I wanna grate my cheese.
So I'm gonna grate the extra sharp cheddar cheese, and you gotta get in there.
But for me, I'm using too many muscle groups for this. I have to use my shoulder, my arm. There's a lot of work involved. So I like to get myself a tray. I lay the grater on its side. I get a piece of cheese that fits in my hand, and I push. I'm basically using my body weight to push the cheese through the grater. It's easier, it's faster. So I expect everyone to grate their cheese like this from now on. There will be a quiz, okay?
So we're just gonna take this cheddar cheese and we're just gonna toss it in the rotel. Put a little bit of this sour cream. Now Velveeta, I don't know what Velveeta really is.
Velveeta is probably my mortal enemy.
No, you would think because I'm a chef, I hate Velveeta. I grew up eating Velveeta. Velveeta, American cheese, I love them. I think they're great.
But it tastes delicious. Thank me later. You guys are gonna make this and you're gonna be like, that girl, Onika, boy, she was on to something.
My potatoes are done.
So now we get to assemble.
I just kind of would do a simple slice open.
So we're gonna open her up. It's pretty, right?
Yeah, I'll even pinch the edges in a little just to kind of really emphasize that it's a vessel.
I'm gonna take my bechamel. I'm just gonna take a nice spoonful.
And dollop in a yogurt mixture.
Take some of my cheese sauce.
And don't be shy with the Gruyere. I make a nice pile in the center.
I like my loaded potatoes to be loaded. Look at that.
I'm gonna take these to the broiler until they're nice and golden brown.
And then I'm gonna go ahead and add my crispy chickpeas with my crispy garlic, some of my pickled onions. It's gonna just add a nice little brightness. I'm going to sprinkle some of my toasted sesame seeds. And then last but not least, just some nice parsley, some green, some freshness.
Get all that cheese that went on the bottom. I'm just gonna make a little bed with that. Prop our potato up, slide that sucker over.
And what is a baked potato without sour cream? And this is my baked potato.
This is my baked potato.
And this is my baked potato.
So now is the moment of truth.
Let's dive in.
Make sure you get a little bit in every bite.
Wow. I was just taking a Flavor Town with that bite. This potato is perfect for any day, any occasion. Kind of the perfect little meal.
This is like love on a plate. You should give it to everyone that you care about. Maybe not your cardiologist though.
This is not the potato that you bring home to mama. You take this potato to Miami for the weekend. No social media, put your phones away. You act like you've never done it, but you did. And you're happier for it.
Baked potatoes are a favorite. They're satisfying and delicious and so versatile you can have them for dinner or as a side dish. Let's see how each of our 3 creative chefs made theirs. Each chef used a different type of potato. Onika used a russet, which is classic as a baked potato.
For a baked potato, you must have a russet potato, okay?
It's a mealy potato, which means it has a lot of starch concentrated within the potato cells, so it's slightly less dense. When they're baked, the starchy cells separate and swell and make a fluffy texture that holds up well to Onika's toppings. Gabby baked a sweet potato, which is not a potato botanically speaking. It's a member of the morning glory family. A healthy pigment called beta-carotene gives them their orange color, and they're sweet mostly because starches are hydrolyzed into maltose, which is sugar but less sweet compared to white table sugar called sucrose. The sweetening process happens during baking as the starches absorb moisture and expand, and finishes when the enzyme is denatured or cooked around 170 degrees Fahrenheit.
Sweet potatoes are sometimes yams, yams are sometimes sweet potatoes. I'm sure Rose probably knows a little bit more about that.
Sometimes people interchange the term sweet potatoes with yams. It's mostly a labeling problem from the 1930s when marketing campaigns conflated the common orange sweet potato with orange yams. True yams are native to Africa and are more starchy than sweet potatoes and can get to be very large, up to 100 pounds. They're not something that we usually see in the retail market in the United States.
They're all a sweet potato at the end of the day.
Frank baked German butterball potatoes, which are oval-shaped with slightly netted skin that's a little thinner than a russet. They're buttery and slightly golden from the presence of carotenoid pigments and have a higher moisture content than Onika's russet or Gabby's sweet potato. These are heritage potatoes, which means they've been grown and harvested for a long time, sometimes hundreds of years.
I'm just gonna go ahead and wrap each one in some foil.
Baking potatoes in foil traps moisture and steams the potato instead of dry baking it. You end up with a softer skin and a tender interior, but it also might seem a little bit soggy. I never wrap. Frank roasted his potatoes in a salt crust.
And you're gonna say, Chef Frank, oh my gosh, it's so much salt. Yes, it's a lot of salt.
Not only does this season his potatoes, but the salt forms a crust and barrier around the potatoes as it partially melts during baking. Unlike covering a potato in foil, the salt has a protective effect because it's hygroscopic, meaning it attracts water so the potato skin stays dry and won't get soggy. Each chef chose a unique blend of toppings that worked really well with their individualized potatoes. Onika used Velveeta.
I don't know what Velveeta really is. It's something.
Velveeta is not a true cheese, but more of a relative of cheese. The US FDA calls it a pasteurized processed cheese food. Velveeta is made with a combination of older surplus cheese scraps mixed in with fresh ones. An emulsifier is added to the ground up cheese mixture to bind the two together, which enhances the melting process. It melts like a dream. It's inexpensive, but it's highly processed and not a pure cheese. Gabby pickled her onions. Pickling is a process of acidifying a food over time, which makes conditions less favorable to spoilage organisms. It's an ancient form of non-refrigerated food preservation, but in Gabby's recipe, it's a quick, tart, crunchy addition to her baked potato. She also added sumac. Sumac is a ground berry that's common in Middle Eastern and Northern African cuisines. It's also piney, earthy, and woody. It worked really well in Gabby's pickled onions. After baking, Frank scooped out the inside of his potatoes and mashed them with seasonings, creme fraiche, and speck, an Italian smoked ham that's seasoned and cured. It's high in fat and more dense than prosciutto, but with comparable flavor impact. Frank then added a classic bechamel sauce.
Bechamel is one of those sauces we use in classical cooking, and it's basically a cream sauce made from butter, flour, and milk.
Bechamel is seasoned milk or cream thickened with a roux. A roux is equal parts fat and flour mixed and added to a hot liquid. The starch granules swell when heated in a liquid to many times their original size, thickening a sauce. Bechamel is thick and decadent. This was a sumptuous addition to Frank's already incredibly rich baked potato. Next time you're in the mood for a delicious baked potato for a meal or a side dish, we hope you'll take some of these tips from our 3 amazing chefs.